Lathrop, French Camp area, Northern California, near Stockton, at the Flying J here. And looks like rain in the forecast. They said it was gonna rain all day today, but I guess I just bypassed the storm because I haven't had a drop of rain so far, but the big storm is supposed to hit on Wednesday. Today's Tuesday. So we'll see how much rain we get. I'm not looking forward to it, but hopefully it doesn't hit me too hard when I'm going back down to SoCal from Stockton. Another night, 2 days before Christmas Day, and hopefully they give me Christmas off. I'm on standby, so we'll see how things go. Back in July 22nd, I started the investing and purchased 2 ETFs, 2 funds, SHLD, which is a global defense fund, and AIVI, which is a artificial intelligence fund. Since then, I have purchased 25 shares of each. Every chance I get, I buy 1 share at a time, and it costs about $110 to $120, give or take. And eventually, you start accumulating some money. And if you can see, our total right now is at $29.35 as of the 29th or so of this month. And we had a pretty decent year-to-date return of 7.28% since July 22nd, which is not bad at all. It's basically like dollar cost averaging and just buying the same fund over and over again every week. Or some weeks you have to skip because if you have payments or things coming up, But so it's about 25 weeks of purchasing these 2 funds and a pretty decent return. It's been a long year, let's face it. During this holiday season, I'm sure you've come across people that either you wanted to interject into their life or they wanted to interject into your life, telling somebody what to do out of love or out of the pursuit for excellence, and then also being told what to do. I'm talking about, you should do this exercise, you should lose weight like this, you should take care of your health like this, you should stop doing that. There's a lot of that going on when we meet family members that we haven't seen in a while, or even people we just care about, we see all the time, but we want to remind them that this is for the pursuit of excellence. But then there's also another thing that creeps in, and this is our kind of know-it-all mentality that gets a little jolt of dopamine released when we tell people what to do, and we're so right, and they agree, and we get this rush, and it's kind of like, in a minuscule way, in a small way, it's kind of like a mini God complex that we could struggle with. I'm talking to everybody, when we, especially people like me that like saying a lot of stuff, you could see in my YouTube videos, we gotta keep ourselves in check from that, from this little, jolt of excitement we get when we tell people what to do. When it's out of love, it's great, but you also have to know how to relax and not force your issue. You could recommend, but you can't force. You could point them in a direction, but you can't force. Even people that are very close to you, because this is toxic. Especially like when you're dealing with your spouse, significant other, or your children, or your siblings, or your parents, kids. It's not healthy to try to push them or force them. Unless, of course, they have obvious issues. If they have a drug problem, you want to keep them away from the drugs, right? And this is going back to what I talked about, the standard operating procedure, micromanaging. Last week I talked about this stuff, and a lot of times we end up micromanaging people, whether it's at a workplace or in our family or our friendships or whatever it is. We tend to micromanage people, and sometimes it is necessary, sometimes. But most of the times, we need to just back off. We could point, we could recommend, but we shouldn't force, unless it's critical. If it's something that they're going to harm themselves or harm others, or something dire, something very extreme, then we have to be careful, and we have to carefully make sure that we intervene, that we interject. But I think for the most part, we have to be careful how much influence we give people and how we do it. How much of it is out of love, or how much is it out of a jolt of satisfaction we get for telling people what to do, or us being a know-it-all and saying, oh, I know the cure to that disease, or I know how you could prevent that from happening. It takes maturity to be able to reflect and see what our intentions are at times. And I see so many spouses, me included when I was younger, we got into some stupid fights, so many fights. For what reason? A lot of it had to do with pride, ego, know-it-all mentality. I'm right, you're wrong. this competitive nature. It's like our pursuit for excellence gone awry. Our pursuit for excellence, but it went toxic. Instead of pursuing excellence with a lot of sensitivity and a lot of understanding, letting people do what they need to do to experience things themselves, instead of us saying, don't do that, you got to do it this way. Sometimes people need to learn by experience. And we have to be mindful of how other people are wired and interact with them for their benefit, not just our jolt of satisfaction or our I'm right, you're wrong attitude. Something to think about when we encounter all these relatives during this holiday season. So what's going on, my people? So this week was a weird week because I had 2 days of work, Tuesday and then Wednesday, Christmas Eve. And then I went home, spent Christmas with my family, came back out on the 26th, worked 26th, 27th, which was a Saturday, and came home late Saturday. It was about 1,500 miles and change. Because of the Christmas holiday, I didn't get to drive as much as I usually do. Now, in terms of next week, it's going to be interesting because I actually used 2 PTO days to kind of catch up with life a little bit. I had some things that I needed to take care of. One, to go to the dentist and take care of my teeth. And next week is going to be even shorter than this past week was. So, but a normal week, let's just take this week, for instance. I get to my truck on Monday night, sleep in my truck. I'll wake up Tuesday morning. I'll pick up my load. I think that load was a load to Stockton. And then I'll drive up to Stockton, shut down for the night, and then wake up early morning. I think that appointment was a 7 a.m. appointment, so I probably wake up like somewhere about 5:30 in the morning, 5:45 in the morning, do my pre-trip, and head over with the load to the receivers. Now, that warehouse, like most warehouses, you have to make sure that you know what is acceptable and what isn't. And the first times you get to a warehouse, it's always a guessing game. And then later on, you find out what they allow you to do, what they don't allow you to do, and how they like to do things. So every place is different. Some places, you're an hour early, you're okay. Other places, you're an hour early, and they tell you, no, you're early. You have to wait outside in the street, It's just everybody has a different way of doing things. Some places, I'll go there a day early, and sometimes they'll take me, and other times I'll go there and I'll try to get in early, and they'll say, no, they're too busy. They can't take me, So basically, the faster they can take you, the faster you could turn around and keep driving, as long as you have another assignment. But anyway, this past Thursday, when I came back from my Christmas break, it was the 26th, my load was supposed to be ready at 5 a.m. And long story short, it was ready at 7 p.m. at night, 14 hours. Anyway, once I got the load, I headed up north as fast as I could, and I had to stop after about 4 hours of driving. And then in the morning, started up again and got to my destination. I think I was about 4 hours or 5 hours later than I was supposed to be. They said, we're probably not going to take you. And then I talked to them. And this is one of the things, a lot of just explaining yourself, in a polite way can do wonders for your situation. So I told them, listen, I know I'm late, but the previous location released my load 14 hours later than expected. So I got up here as fast as I can. Can you please see what you can do to accept me? And they said they'll talk to a supervisor. And then sure enough, after about a 10-minute wait, they said, yeah, we'll take you. Go to dock door number, blah, blah, blah. These kind of situations, a normal person will probably say, okay, I'll call my company, I'll deal with it, whatever. And then, it just creates more work, like where you have to go drop off the trailer at a yard and try to, figure something out. The company has to figure something out. And sometimes the time that you need to talk to somebody at the company, sometimes you can't get key decision makers to help you out because it's after hours or because it's a weekend or something, And these types of situations, after you're with an account and a company for a while, you'll start to realize how to maneuver. And you should always try to see what you're allowed to do, without breaking any rules, but what you're allowed to do and what you're not allowed to do, what the company expects from you and how you're going to benefit the company. And at the same time, what you can do to make your life easier. So I went ahead and delivered this about 12 o'clock. And I had plenty of time to get back to Ontario to shut down for the weekend. I started driving down. I still have about 4 hours extra after I get to my destination to shut down. So I have plenty of time, But I went up to the Grapevine and all of a sudden traffic came to a halt. And this is Saturday, the 27th. And what ended up happening was there was a gas pipe leak or gas leak near the Castaic. And which is right on the other side of the Grapevine, the southern side near Magic Mountain, right? And anyway, freeway shut down. I kid you not, a parking lot. It was a parking lot for about a good 4 hours. I think from 5:30 to 9:30-ish, around there. And by the time that traffic cleared up, I was sweating bullets trying to make it, because any delay would have messed me up. Luckily, I didn't have any delays and I made it back with just enough time to shut down. It was pretty stressful, and it's not fun sitting in traffic for 3-4 hours. And especially when you're in a big truck like that, you're not able to maneuver, lane change, and to do things that small cars are doing to try to get further ahead. It's impossible. You're in a lane, you're stuck in that lane for a long time. And if you want to change lanes, it's tricky. It's a pain in the butt, because a lot of people have to sit and wait for you to change lanes. And when traffic is bumper to bumper and you're barely moving like 10 feet every minute or so, it's awkward. Anyway, these are some of the situations I deal with. And you get used to sleeping in the truck stops. But some people either are comfortable in their truck or they rather sleep at home. For me, whether I sleep at home or in the truck, it's about the same for me. I mean, other than being with, my loved ones, that's a benefit. But in terms of the sleep itself, like getting good rest, I think I could pretty much sleep anywhere. Sometimes being on my bed at home is a lot more comfortable, but I don't mind sleeping in the truck, so it's not like it's that much worse sleeping in the truck. Just for the sake of sleep, I'm fine. So anyway, I just wanted to give you a brief glimpse of like what my week looked like, and getting used to different locations. And I guess this is one of the benefits of having a dedicated account. Working for a dedicated account is that most of the times you go back to the same locations over and over again. And in a given year, you'll go to one location maybe 12 times, and in another location maybe like 30 times. It all depends. And so the more you get used to going to these certain locations, and then getting used to working with the different people in the warehouses, I think over time you get better and you minimize the level of stress in terms of being in new environments and not really knowing what you can do and what you can't do, but also stress in terms of dealing with the same people over and over again. Some people are really difficult to deal with, and other people, over time, you get to know them and they're very pleasant to deal with. So yeah, I just wanted to share a small glimpse of what happens, in trucking, especially in my account. This is the last video of 2025, and we're heading into 2026 soon. So yeah, I just wanted to thank you all for following me for the last 2 years, supporting me in this journey, keeping up with me in my trucking life. God bless all of you. I hope you have a safe New Year's. If you're driving out there, I hope you don't get stuck in traffic and you have smooth rides to your destinations, and especially safety and peace. And until next time, cheers.